Hello and good morning. So, for today's episode, we are talking about meditation. So, you might be wondering, why? Why, Nolan? Why are you talking about meditation? Well, it has affected my life in a positive way, very positive way, and I hope that it could potentially help you or someone that you care about that might be struggling or looking for a different approach on a certain thing. Pick your poison. Can be anything. Yeah. So, for me, my days go fast. Very fast. I get caught up in the excitement of life, and it helps to slow down. And furthermore, we all process so many things, so much sensory information all the time. Just so much that it can be hard to handle. It is hard to handle compared to thousands of years ago when we had to eat, sleep, find food to eat, fuck, and furthermore produce offspring to continue the human race. It's pretty damn simple. Pretty simple life. And now we have technology. We're amazing multitaskers. We are just going. And holy cow, it's just, I don't know about for you all, but for me, it's a lot to handle. And here we go. Yeah, so it can be helpful if maybe something unsettling happened to you. Maybe you got flipped off in traffic, or your parent yelled at you, or your partner yelled at you, and you don't know how to handle it. So maybe it just gets pushed down into the depths of your consciousness where you don't ever want to touch it because it's so unnerving and unsettling that, and you have so much more to focus on for the rest of the day that it's just put it away. And meditation can give us time to help notice how we feel and how that made us feel at that time, and sit with it, and not necessarily make us feel better about what happened, but to let us know that we don't have to become what happened. We can just know that it did. Yeah, so traumatic events, if you got really fucked over, if you got just like totally screwed and just keeps on playing it back over and over again in your head, and it just cycles through and through and through, and no matter how much you think about it, the situation doesn't change because it already happened. And again, meditation can be an avenue to help someone who's struggling in that space, because we only have so much time in the day, and if that time in our day is taken up by things that are hindering our abilities to do what we really want to do what we intend to do during the day, then maybe meditation could be right for you. Yeah, so that's present. For future decisions, say, for me, I'm super impulsive. I I love throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's kind of a bad habit. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it really doesn't. And sometimes I wish that I had a little more power over my decisions, which would be really nice, especially when I embarrass myself in public or jump on a opportunity that I didn't think through all the way. And for me, maybe for other people, I think for other people, gives me an opportunity to notice my thoughts and notice how I feel, how I feel about those thoughts. And that makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel powerful over my emotions so that I can better affect myself and other people. It's a really good feeling when you have control over what you do. And I'm not great at it, but I can say for a fact that meditation has helped me in that. Yeah, so maybe you get a more thoughtful life, actions with better intention, and you could be wondering, Nolan, is this all a hoax? Are you just lying to us? Well, no, there's actual science behind it, thankfully. Thankfully, there's actual science behind it. And there's certain parts of the brain that meditation has been shown to influence, make certain neural pathways stronger, make that connection stronger. And here we go. So I found this article off Psychology Today. I'll put the link in the description, or the, well, whatever description of the video below when I post it. But the lateral, I'll just brief interview. So lateral prefrontal cortex. What the fuck is that? Okay, since you asked, it's the assessment center. So when your brain's on meditation, it's a more logical, more rational decision making part of your brain. And when you're meditating, it becomes stronger. And furthermore, it can help you take things less personally. Take that person that just flipped you off in traffic and say, you know what, maybe he's having a hard day. So that's always good to get stronger. We do like a good, strong lateral prefrontal cortex. And then one of my most favorite parts about the brain that it focuses on is the medial prefrontal cortex. This is also known as the me center. It processes information related to me. So I'm hungry, that's me. I am hungry. I am hungry. Or on meditation, maybe you feel hungry. No, I'm Nolan. I'm not hungry. But I feel hungry, and that's okay. But it's a self-reflecting place, and when things happen, we compare it to ourselves. And you ever say like a murderer on TV, and you're just like, well, I'm not a murderer. Well, I'm not a murderer, so I'm not that, so therefore I'm not this. I'm not that, so therefore I'm this. And anyways, it processes information related to me. And furthermore, it can make us more empathetic. If that connection is stronger, when we see something that maybe isn't directly related to me, but since that neural pathway is a little stronger, maybe we can hop in someone else's shoes a little bit easier. Makes us more empathetic, more prone to developing a personal connection with someone else that you maybe thought you didn't have anything in common with before. And that's pretty cool. Cool thing about the medial prefrontal cortex is that it actually has two parts to it. There's the ventromedial prefrontal cortex and the dorsal medial prefrontal cortex. Well, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex processes information similar to you. I'm a mountain biker. I see someone do a backflip on a mountain bike. I'm going to process that information and be like, it's similar. I can do it. I can do it. Anyways, and it works in also overcoming depression, anxiety, personal habits that you might want to change. These are all things that are strengthened by meditation. This is the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, and it gets stronger with meditation. And it well, helps you overcome those personal struggles that I definitely have sometimes, and maybe other people do too. Or I know other people do too. And then there's the dorsal medial prefrontal cortex, which is dissimilar to you. That's the snap judgment. But if that's stronger and it gets stronger through meditation, then you can take in other people's experiences dissimilar. For example, someone who doesn't have access to water. Maybe they're in a village in a third world country and they don't have water, and I could feel empathetic towards that. If I have a stronger dorsal medial prefrontal cortex, I could just imagine putting myself in their shoes for a day and trying to understand where they're coming from. Or furthermore, you have a disagreement with an employee or a coworker that you really just can't see where they're coming from. Anyways, meditation can help that too. Pretty cool. So then there is the insola. Insola is that feeling in your chest that if you see a tiger, that's your insola talking to you. You get that gut feeling, you're just like, man, this is dangerous. This is super dangerous. Or yeah, it strengthens that. So it can help you be a better decision maker. Should I be doing this? Should I get in the car with that person who's drunk and also driving? Probably not. Probably not. And the amygdala, this is the fear center, and it's responsible for that like initial like emotional response and that fight or flight response. And it maybe I personally have it sometimes, like there's just like you do like the worst possible thing in that situation, that fight or flight response, that you're just like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? I wasn't thinking properly. I could have taken a moment to breathe. And that's sort of a big premise of meditation, is taking that moment to breathe, to recognize what's happening, and then making more of a calculated decision about what you want to do, how you want to act. Yeah, so this amygdala works with the insula as the oh fuck center. Something just went wrong. Yeah, so anywho, those are the parts of the brain that really strengthen when you're meditating. So, you're better decision maker under pressure, um, more easier to deal with anxiety. Personally, for me, I'm broke as shit. I was freaking out over hours that I might get with my job, and I was like, oh, am I going to make enough money? I was really freaking out yesterday. It was not fun. And I took a moment, said, all right, let's meditate for 15 minutes and then deal with it. So I meditated, I noticed those thoughts, I felt those feelings of fear and anxiety. Am I going to be able to pay tuition? Like, no. And I stepped aside. I stepped aside from those thoughts. Let them I let them be there, and I also let them go. And it was great. It felt really, really good. Meditation, less anxiety, a stronger, a stronger ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Anyways, what's your brain like? Maybe, and let me preface this by saying there's multiple ways to make yourself stronger in different areas. You don't have to meditate to get better at these specific things, but it's a way that I've found and many other people have found throughout history to have a more controlled, more stable life when they want it. So, carrying on with no meditation, is a stronger focused on me center. Everything is happening to me. Ah, I hate it. Why is this happening to me? It's really a gross feeling when I think that way all the time. And it's not fun. I don't like it. I don't think other people like it. Anywho, these heavy neural connections are really established with body sensation and the fear center of the brain. Whenever I'm anxious or scared, likely to associate things with an actual problem. So if something's scary happening, say I'm really broke and I'm scared, I'm anxious, and I would likely to associate it, likely to like have associating it. Yeah, geez, I can't even talk. I'd associate it with an actual problem. And yes, it is an actual problem, but to fixate on that actual problem doesn't get me anywhere. Detach. If I meditate, maybe I detach from that problem and carry on with my day and just do what I can. Do what I can to make my anxiety a little less. Yeah, so over reliance on the me center, it can make you loop out in your life. I went through a bad breakup. I don't know. Gosh, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's almost a year ago, probably like 10 months. I'd say 10 months. And I looped out every morning. God, it must have been for like a couple months at least. It was all I could think about was just replaying the same situation over and over again. Why does this happen to me? Oh, I'm so angry. I'm frustrated, and just feeding it. There's such a strong neural connection to the me center. And I wasn't meditating because I didn't want to be with myself. I didn't want to acknowledge those thoughts, and it was a horrible situation. And little by little, I started to meditate again, and I slowly got over that, and got better with time, which is really nice. And I have meditation to thank for a lot of that. Anywho, I'm sure someone out there has been through somewhat of the same thing where something horrible happens, you just feel like it happened to you, and maybe you need an avenue to sit with your thoughts and not become them, but just to sit with them. So, good news. With meditation, there's a strong connection between the me center and the strong connection between the me center and these bodily sensations. They become less strong. And the assumption, because it's all assumptions, not all of it, but just being scared or having a body sensation of pain, we can assume that something's actually wrong. We can assume that something's actually wrong, and that's no good. But with meditation, it starts to go away. We can notice the sensation without becoming a part of it. It can just sit off to my side. I notice it rise, and I notice it fall. It's like a wave. And that's really helpful, because then it's not a part. Same with pain. I ate shit, and I hurt my thumb a couple days ago on my bike, really slammed. And I kind of sat there. I was like, well, I am in pain. And it's okay. It's going to go away. I don't know if that's meditation or just years of getting hurt and understanding what it feels like, but it's pretty nice to not become freaked out when you are in pain. Yeah, so meditation, it gives you a stronger assessment center. It gives you a stronger lateral prefrontal cortex. And this is why if a thought of fear comes to mind, or fear comes to mind, you're more calm. If you're dropping in on a big ski line, 1,000 vertical feet, if you fall, you're probably going to die. That fear, but not becoming the fear, and having full belief and full confidence in yourself that you're going to fucking crush it. That interview that you're scared about, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm going to assess this more because it's not all that I am. Anywho, you can, basically what I'm saying is that you can be a bystander to these emotions instead of those emotions. Yeah, so the helpful parts of the me center become way more connected, and information not directly related to you also becomes stronger. You can have more empathy for people. That's great. More empathy means a better friendship. It means a better, well, sometimes a better relationship with yourself. Um, Someone who you really don't want to feel bad for, but you can still be like, you know what? I see why they did that. Not that it was a good idea, but I have empathy for those actions, even though it's like, oh, such a gross thing to empathize with someone you really just are not a fan of. Anyways, communication skills can increase. You can become more diplomatic. Um, the part of the brain directly involved with empathy, then sola, is firing more. That neural connection is just bam, 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 going off. And anywho, say, oh no, this is all super cool. You know, you're more empathetic, freaking out less in intense situations, more diplomatic. Kind of just seems like meditation can make you a better human. Does it just happen overnight? No. Well, meditation is kind of like working out. It's like exercise. It's like, it doesn't even have to be working out. It's like painting. It's like anything that involves activity in your brain. If you do it more and more and more, you get stronger. You get stronger over time. It takes time. So you don't have to. You don't have to do anything every day, but it takes 5, 15, 30 minutes, however long you want. How long are we spending on social media? Maybe an hour or two, or just 15 minutes, depending on your self-discipline. But fuck, you could spend 15 minutes of your time throughout the 24 hours in the day on yourself. That's not so bad. That's not so bad to me, at least. Anywho, if you get stronger, but then you're like, oh, I'm doing pretty good, I don't have to meditate anymore, and then you neglect those parts of your brain, then they're not gonna, the neural connections aren't gonna get as strong. They're maybe gonna get a little weaker, but at least it's a start. And a start is better than nothing. But anyways, doing it every day definitely helps. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't become Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was it? Gosh, some sort of Olympian guy. Anyways, big fucking strong dude overnight because he did it every single day. And he became awesome. Anywho, in my life, I started to meditate because I was quitting weed for soccer season. And that was how I went to sleep. I just smoked pot and passed the fuck out. And I was fixating on being sober when I was sleeping. It was high school, you get drug tested for soccer practice, soccer games, and I just wanted to be able to play soccer and not get in trouble for smoking weed in high school. So I was suggested to download this app called Headspace, and I used it. It was really cool. I'm thankful for it. It taught me to breathe and focus on my breaths mostly, and It was pretty goddamn cool. So there's a ton of good apps out there for meditation, and that's how I started. And then it was used to be more mindful in extreme sports because I felt like I wanted a bit of a I wanted more connection with my snowboard, with my skateboard, and I wanted to, well, freak out less at the top of the line. Make that part of my brain that, that fight or flight part of my brain be a little less flighty, more fighty. Anyways, that helped me a ton with sports and being calm before I did something dangerous. Yeah, so my amygdala was getting strengthened when I would do such things. Anywho, and then it has helped me since then take a moment for myself and to acknowledge a thought before I become it. Acknowledge the idea before it just falls out of my mouth. Doesn't happen all the time. I'm trying to get better at it. It's something I struggle with. But if I have an idea and maybe it's a sketchy audience to say the joke around, I can take a deep breath and not have to say it and not have to embarrass myself in public, which is really handy to not do. And furthermore, it can help you refine ideas before you just blurt them out. Being mindful is really cool for me. Anywho, you might be asking, I asked for sure, what's the history of this? Why is it so popular now? And how long have people been doing it for? Well, the earliest written records for meditation that I was able to find were in the early Upanishads, and it speaks of meditation as an avenue to see God. Oh, you don't have to be religious to meditate, by the way, but people have been doing it for centuries. A long time ago, in the Vedas Upanishads, or the Hindu Vedas, around 1500 BCE was when the records were first established of written records of meditation. So you can make the argument that it was probably happening a long time before that. And yeah, anyways, I figured I'd share a cool bit of information from the Upanishads. So here goes. Those who follow the discipline of meditation have seen God, the self, the power, all hidden by their own qualities. One alone is he who governs all those causes, from time to self. Oh, the fuck does that mean? Well, to me, what really speaks out to me is all hidden by their own qualities. Own qualities being thoughts, fears, things that we attach to. And when we meditate, we can not immediately attach to those ideas that are circulating in our minds, but to notice them and acknowledge them, but not immediately become them. So let me say that again. Those who follow the discipline of meditation have seen God, the self, the power, all hidden by their own qualities. When we don't absorb our own qualities immediately, we can see these other factors at play. And personally, I think I do when I'm in the flow state of meditation. I don't know if I see God, but I notice, and it's hard to describe. I'd say it's almost indescribable, but it's a surreal feeling. And yeah, that's pretty goddamn cool. Anywho, one last thing that I found from the Upanishads is that here goes. Within this vast wheel of Braham, well, what is Braham? Braham, it is basically in the early Upanishads the highest universal principle, the eternal truth, the bliss that does not change. And there it is, the eternal truth, ecstasy. Yeah, so within this vast wheel of Braham, on which all subsist, which abides in all, a goose keeps moving around, which perceives himself. Atman is the term for the self. So which perceives himself as distinct from impeller. Delighted by that knowledge, he goes from there to immortality. Impeller means that which measures speed or distance. So when he perceives himself as distinct from the impeller, he's not measured by metrics anymore. He just is being. And delighted by this, that there's no measurement for him, he goes from there to immortality. So there's a little peek into the religion side of things. The early Upanishads is where I got these last two little paragraphs, texts of ideas. Thank you for listening to my spiel about meditation. Thank you for Psychology Today, Wikipedia, and of course the early Upanishads for helping teach me about this, because there's always more to learn and I'm fascinated. So until next time, peace and love. Thank you guys for tuning in.